Thanks, Nathan, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, actually.
So, you're my personal trainer at the gym at Good Life, and I guess how did we meet? Were you at the gym before Barry?
I started after Barry. I think we officially met at bouldering.
Right, because yeah. So I think that would have been. It was probably fall of 22 or something, right?
That makes about sense, yeah. I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so I trained with Barry for a while. Then after he moved on, you've been my trainer since then. And it's been awesome so far. And yeah, just wanted to have a conversation and see pretty much how you got into personal training. And why don't we just start there? So how did you become a personal trainer?
Okay, great question. I feel like growing up, I started working out when I was around like 12, 13, going to the gym with like the Good Life Fitness teen program, and then really enjoyed it. Always found I enjoyed not personal training, like training and working out in a gym more than like regular sports because of how like individualized and like more controlled it was, I guess. So I enjoyed that. I was working out a lot through high school. And then after high school, I decided I wanted to study fitness and health promotion at Fanshawe College. Okay. And that I wanted to be a personal trainer and like help other people because of my passion for fitness.
Oh, so what is that program? What do they teach at Fanshawe?
A lot of the basics on like health, fitness. You learn a lot about like anatomy, physiology, movements, the science behind training and how resistance training and cardio affect the body. Different like how to work in different rep ranges, how to train people in safe and manageable ways.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, you kind of know this. I have kind of conflicting goals when it comes to the gym. Because we're lifting heavy to kind of put on strength, but I also want to keep up with running. I'm taking a pause from swimming and bouldering, but also do that. So how, just generally, or maybe with just me or other clients, how do you like manage goals that I guess would be counterproductive?
Great question. The more novice amateur, like towards the beginning of your like training journey you are, the more you are definitely able to do many things at once. It's like how you're like first month, 6 months in the gym, you will gain muscle, build strength, lose fat, get better mobility, flexibility, everything will improve. As you start to get more advanced, you do need to pick things more, less you have like diminishing returns. Like it'll be hard for like, there's a reason bodybuilders go through like bulking phases and cutting phases rather than trying to do it all together, because you need to like, your goals aren't so bad where like you want to get stronger and get faster and stuff like that isn't too hard. But if you were wanting to like lose lots of fat at the same time, that'd be harder. The less things you do, the easier it's going to be to achieve them for sure.
Right. Okay. So I guess then, do you have training goals right now? Or
right now, I've been very lazy. Right now, my goals are more just to stay regular in the gym, focusing more on school. Trying to like make it work out like at least 2 to 4 times per week. I'm happy with. And making sure I'm eating enough food is more my goals right now.
Right. So is it just like kind of like a maintenance kind of plan? Just like, do some heavy lifting here and there, make sure everything's working.
Absolutely. I feel like that's a better. So like sometimes like in your training journey, if you're like working out your whole life, you'll have times where you're a little bit more dedicated, wanting to achieve specific goals, specific numbers, and other times just more wanting to balance it and stay healthy.
Okay. Because for me, I like seeing the progression. Like we're doing, what are we doing? Like hip thrusts and squats and other exercises. But I've never had a number in mind, so that works for me because I guess I'm just trying to kind of get used to being in the gym. So I guess at some point, if I just keep going, at some point it's going to plateau. So what do people do generally when they don't see that much progress?
Generally, then is at a certain point you have to more decide what you want to keep improving in. So do you want to keep putting on muscle and keep getting stronger, or do you want to maybe keep getting faster and better at running, better at swimming, better at rock climbing? Because you see, like if you look at Olympic level swimmers. They don't look like bodybuilders. They have some muscle on them, but if they were to put Ronnie Coleman or Arnold Schwarzenegger at their primes in the water, they're not going to be swimming nearly as well as someone who's maybe a little bit leaner and smaller, like a professional swimmer. Right. So you do have to kind of like balance a little bit that at a certain point you can always do everything a little bit and stay competitive and strong and everything a little bit, but never like competition level sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, I'm not trying to compete, so I think it's fine because I just like doing different stuff. I feel like, I'm in my 30s. I just want to be able to maintain different types of movements. Like that's why I think swimming, running, lifting, maybe biking, bouldering, it's pretty good because it kind of engages your body in different ways.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's cool.
And that's probably also much healthier too, is doing a variety of things rather than just powerlifting and that's it, and that's all you do. You want like the more variety of things is probably going to affect your health much better long term. Right. Because it's the same thing with every single activity. There's going to be negatives to it too. Like if you're strength training all day, that's going to be very hard on your body, hard on your joints. If you're running every 5 days a week, that's going to be very hard on like your knees, ankles, joints and stuff like that. Yeah. But doing a variety of everything, you spread out any of those like issues.
Yeah, the hardest part I find, I think you kind of know this, I probably talked about it, is trying to lift 4 days a week, run twice a week, do swimming and bouldering. Somehow I managed for a couple of weeks early last year, but it's so hard to get back into that routine. And the only way to do that is to sleep a little less, but then to see how that kind of affects. So far, I don't see a huge impact in lifting performance, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, you mentioned you're in school. You're studying osteopathy. So based on what you've studied so far, like what is it?
Great question. So osteopathy is like an old thing. It was invented by a guy named Andrew Taylor Still. It's think kind of like chiropractic, massage, similar to there. It's older than chiropractic actually. It works through like manual therapy, manipulations of the body to allow the body to heal itself more. Like an osteopathic adjustment isn't going to fix you, but it's going to allow proper like flowing of like bloods, nerves, arteries, everything working together, and lymph for the body to heal itself. Bodies heal themselves very well, except when there's issues and something stopping that.
Yeah. So yeah, we both know Zach. He's a trainer at the gym too, and he's already completed his schooling and he's practicing. I've been seeing him for a year, so I find his treatments help. Was that one of the kind of inspirations that got you into it? I know Bailey also is in school.
Absolutely, that was one of the things. Right from starting off working a Good Life, I was talking to Zach a lot about like what it is. I didn't really understand it right away, and he'd tell me things and explain it, and he'd treat me sometimes, and it just started to like all piece together and made sense. I've been thinking for a while, like I knew I wanted to do something like in terms of like helping people in like a physical way, but I had issues with other things. I'd thought about chiro before, but there's some issues with like the high velocity cracking there, and it's dangerous, and there's not a ton of as much science behind it. I like physio. My only issue with that was basically it's a lot of prescribing people exercises, and then people don't do those exercises. I wanted something maybe where I had a little bit more control over making sure people got better. So I liked the way the osteopathy worked, and I was kept talking to like other patients who'd gone there and stuff, and hearing their success stories with it, and it seemed like it worked very well to me. So I wanted to look into it more.
Yeah, that point about the physio, like before I started training with Barry at the gym, I used to run a lot. Like you said, if you run 5-6 days a week, you're gonna hurt your legs basically. I used to just run a lot, and at some point many years ago, I think I pulled my calf or something. So anyway, it wasn't getting better, so I went to see a physio, and it was just before COVID actually. I saw the physio a couple of times, and then I had an appointment one day, I think on a Monday, and then they closed it down on the Friday because of COVID. And then after the shutdown for whatever number of weeks. They never called back, so I was like, if they don't want me, I probably don't want to go anyway. But anyway, it was basically that you see the physio once a week, and I didn't have some catastrophic injury or anything, so it was just, I think they were just kind of humoring me when I showed up. So anyway, I did the exercises, but I think, yeah, I don't know if it added too much value. I think I definitely like the personal training aspect, because like I'm seeing you twice a week, so you'll give suggestions. You'll tell me, you could try this, or that's outside of my scope. You might have to Google it. So yeah, that's an interesting point. But yeah, so yeah, you got into osteo school, and yeah, how's that going?
It's going great. I'm still in my first semester now. I think our exams are in March. I hope that's true. It's going great. Learning lots of stuff, building kind of a good foundation, I'd say.
Yeah.
Going a lot more into depth of like anatomy, physiology, like a lot of osteopathic theory, and learning how things work. Mostly, we've been like the physical hands-on stuff we've been doing so far has been assessments and a lot of that. Really grinding that in, practicing so that it becomes like second nature. And then starting off with a little bit of what they call the general osteopathic treatment, like, or the GOT, which is just like a basic treatment that they do to everybody, and like learning more about that.
Oh, cool. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, is it hard to manage school and training?
A little bit. I feel like the job that I have right now is pretty good in that, like, I make my own hours. It's not like a 40-hour-a-week job. I have a lot more control and balance in terms of like helping me study, for sure. I think it'd be a lot more difficult if I was like doing a 50-hour-a-week office job, sitting down, and then had to go sit down and study more. That would be more difficult, I think.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
It's been pretty good with balance, yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's pretty busy. You're pretty busy working, studying, so it's pretty good. I think you're doing a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, do you have time for anything else at all?
A little bit. I probably need to study a little bit more. I should probably spend more time doing that. I feel like I'm not too overwhelmed. I manage it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think with anything, as long as you're focusing on getting like enough sleep and still having time to like exercise and stuff like that a little bit, you're able to like deal with it pretty well mentally.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I think, like, from personal experience, if you just train hard, maybe not every day, but some days definitely, it makes other things a lot easier, because you're like willingly straining your body, and then for me, it's just like at some point I'm too tired to stress about stuff. I'm just like, okay, just go home, eat some food, and then we'll figure out the next problem to deal with. Yeah.
It definitely helps that like I enjoy my job too.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just like I used to enjoy working out. Now I help other people work out. It's a fun job.
Yeah, I think that's important, because yeah, I'm working now. I like the job that I'm doing now, but I've had jobs in the past where it's not fun. Or, I mean, you do your job well, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to, say too much bad stuff about previous jobs, but when you love a job and sometimes you don't. So.
Absolutely. Like I've had basic jobs like that, like washing dishes, things like that. It's not a bad job. It's just not like fun. Like I work in a gym. That's very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I read your blurb at the gym, and you mentioned earlier you did a lot of sports growing up.
A decent amount, yeah.
Yeah,
I played football a little bit, yeah.
Okay, like in high school, or
and before.
Oh yeah, okay. So how was what position did you play?
I played a bunch of different positions. I started off as like a linebacker when I was like before I got to high school. I played receiver sometimes, DB, a bunch of different, wherever I was needed, really.
Oh yeah. So in grade 9, after football season for me, I think I wanted to be on the team. So they started their postseason workouts. So I would show up at the after school and all that. So we did that for a year, and then the next year, they have the camp before the school starts. and I did a week of it, and then for me, I was really skinny. I think I was like 105, 110 pounds or something. So anyway, the coach took a bunch of us aside and said, you guys have been working really hard. You guys can definitely be on the team, but I don't think you're not gonna play this year. And then I was just like, all right, well, I guess see ya. And then I just left. So that's my experience with football.
This is a very good thing for your coach to do.
Yeah.
There are definitely a lot of coaches don't do things like that. They'll like let you be on the team, even like lots of competitive sports. Like, yeah, you get on the team.
Yeah.
But if you're not one of like the top guys, you're probably not going to be playing much unless you're up in a game by like 70 points.
Yeah.
And then they'll put you in the last quarter a little bit. Good on your coach for like having that honest conversation with you, for sure. That can be the hard part with like competitive sports for sure. Like where some people just aren't at that level.
Yeah, it wasn't for me because like I wanted to do it, but then once we actually did the camp and we started doing it, I was like, this is not fun. I just keep getting hit. I get like bruises. I'm not good at catching the ball as a receiver. It's like I think it was inevitable. I wasn't into it anyway. So I switched to track, and that was a little bit better. So that was nice.
Could you find something that suited you much better?
Yeah. I did like 1, 2, and 400 meter sprints. It wasn't great, but it was fun. So it was nice. Yeah, that was a good time. So yeah, and another thing we have in common, maybe not so much for you these days, is reading. Used to read a lot. Actually, we talked a bit about Percy Jackson. I haven't finished watching it. But so I haven't read the books either, but reading was a big part of my childhood. And I guess one series, you read all the Aragon books too, right? Or no?
I think I read the first 2.5. I think I read the first 2.5 maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember too much. I remember like I forgot to like finish reading them, or I had like forgotten to buy the new one or something like that. I need to finish that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good series. I really liked that one.
Really good. Written well, I think.
Yeah. And then they came out with Murtaugh. I haven't read that yet, but that'll be a good one. I think
it'll be really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite like book series as a kid?
Oh, that's a good question. There's one by a British author named Jonathan Stroud. It's called the Bartimaeus trilogy. Have you heard about it?
I think you may have told me before, maybe, but I've never read it.
I think it's in like it's set at I think it was released in the mid 2000s. It's set in England, like an alternate version of England where they don't have that much technology. But I think he made an error somewhere. At some point he included a computer and he like regrets it years later or something like that. Anyway, the idea is it's a city full of magicians, and they can summon different classes of demons. Like imps are lower level, and then jinn or genie are higher levels. So it's about this jinn called Bartimaeus, and it's a trilogy, and it's pretty awesome. It's I'd recommend that too for sure.
Let's go to read sometime. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. That was a good one. So are you reading anything these days, or
right now just school stuff? Nothing I've really been like.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing. I was reading a book before called Breath, or like I think Breath. Yeah. One of my like old clients who had given it to me.
Yeah.
Really good book about like just breathing, the science of breathing, how it all works. Really interesting.
Okay. So on Breath, so I'm interested in doing breathing exercises. I kind of made up my own routine in the morning based on what I've seen. Basically, I do a couple of I don't know what you call it, but you basically like just push as much air as you can out of your.
Oh, like fully exhaling,
No, just like kind of like. That's like one type of breath exercise, but I don't know what it's called. But anyway, so so I haven't read that book. Did they talk about breath exercises at all, or just the science of breathing?
I'm not that much into it. I was only like a third of the way into the book, I think. Then I started focusing on school a lot more. I do need to get back to reading it. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of different like breathing exercises and stuff you can do to like help that. Breath is a big part of meditation, which can be really good
Yeah.
for you. A lot of it was going on is like the importance of like nasal breathing rather than like breathing in through your mouth can affect a lot of things. I used to not realize how much of like a big important deal it was to be breathing through your nose. They've done a lot of tests on that. I think there was a test they did before with mice even too, where they'd like restrict some mice from breathing through their nose and some from breathing through their mouth, and the ones who would like were forced to mouth breathe were like solving mazes slower, weren't thinking as well. It's supposed to affect a lot of things. In the book, these two guys did an experiment that where they were like clogged their noses intentionally and forced to breathe through their mouth for like I think weeks or like a month, and they were getting lethargic, feeling depressed, no energy, brain fog all the time. And then when they made the opposite happen, all the symptoms were going away instantly. It was really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I used to do a lot of mouth breathing when I was running, but I changed that. I think it does have an impact. I don't know why that is, but yeah, breath is pretty important in that sense. So yeah, anyway, I'm just trying to figure out the breathing exercises, so I thought that would be interesting.
Have you tried mouth taping before?
You know, just like taping your mouth.
Yeah, like when you sleep, it's a big thing because a lot of people like wake up with like a dry mouth.
Yeah.
And it's because you've been breathing through your mouth all night while you sleep. If your mouth just falls in, you're breathing that way.
Yeah.
And even then, it affects like the quality of your sleep, how much oxygen you're getting, and everything like that. So it's just like little pieces of tape you can put over your mouth. I think the ones I've seen are like an X that just goes over. If you start dying, your mouth will open and like rip it open. It's not it's not a thick piece of tape like that, but it just forces you to breathe through your nose while you sleep. It's really interesting.
Okay, so one of the first things I do in the morning, well, one of the breath exercises is you breathe through one nostril and you breathe out the other one. One of my nostrils is always clogged. Like one is free, and then I'll breathe out through the other one. Well, I guess now it's okay. But in the morning, it's like, I don't know. I think that's normal. Like,
Is it the same nostril every time or no?
No, it just goes back and forth all the time.
That is supposed to be like a thing. They talk about that in the book, actually. It's interesting. It has to do something with... I forget a little bit about it, but like there's a normal thing. So like, breathing in through one nostril at a time, normal. I think that like it's because of like the specific type of tissue in the nasal passageway.
Oh, I wonder if it's something to do with like inactivity, because it always happens in the morning.
I don't believe it wasn't like a bad thing at all. It was like a completely normal thing. They say like it happens throughout the day, depending on like what like state you're in or like how you're feeling. It could be like one or the other, and they alternate pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm worried about. I wonder what happens at night if you tape your mouth and you're only basically using one nostril.
I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you have some issues with like a deviated septum and stuff like that. But even in the book, they talked about like they'd have some people who had like a lot of issues breathing through their nose would try it, taping the mouth, and then like maybe the first night it was like 10 minutes. You could only get through 10 minutes before like, okay, it started to like, I'm not getting enough air. Then the next night, 20, 30, and then eventually, it's like, okay, an hour before like I feel the need to take the tape off. And like the structure in your nose slowly does get better at breathing properly. It's very much a use it or lose it thing. So if you've been mouth breathing for so long, you would have trouble breathing through your nose, but it will come back.
I guess that works. Mouth taping, but like, I think I'm okay. I don't think I need mouth taping.
Oh, it's not necessarily a thing.
But yeah, I do practice. I'm aware of my breathing when I'm going for a jog. So I think only if I'm really, really going hard, I'll lose control and just start mouth breathing because
That's supposed to happen when you get to like high levels of exertion.
Yeah, but even then, I try my best to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. But it's so, I guess what do you call it? The immediate reaction is just like you just want to gulp as much air as possible.
And if you're at the like high exertion levels for sure, like at a top sport or like competing, and for sure at that like 100% exertion, you're probably not even paying too much attention to your breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is normal.
Okay. Have you ever done like a sprint workout?
Yeah, I sprinted a little before. I did sprinting track and field when I was in elementary school. It was fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing hill sprints.
It's great for you.
It's the worst.
You take lots of rest. Like that's the thing with
Yeah.
sprinting and like any powerlifting, high intensity, explosive stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure you're resting enough is a big issue where people would do. You'll get people like sprinting, okay, rest 30 seconds, sprint, rest 30
Oh, no,
seconds.
you gotta take a few minutes
Take
at
a
least.
few minutes. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. So, um. Oh yeah. So, I mentioned. So you gave me the foot balancing bar. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, or like a beam, like a
The
foot beam,
beam?
yeah.
Yeah. So like, what? Why do you have that? What were you doing?
Yeah. So it's this from this foot company called the Foot Collective, who I did a program with called like the Foot Nerd Program, which is all about like starts like the science of feet and like a different way of like looking at health. So they go over like a bunch of the science of that. Breathing was a big part of that. Sleep, different ways of eating and stuff like that. And part of what it came with was all these like challenges and stuff you had to do, including like getting good at doing a lot of different things on the balance beam. Originally it started off on the ground. You had to be able to like balance on one foot, eyes closed for a minute each side, and then slowly doing different things on the beam, like standing on it, different transitions of moving in like a squat position until your feet get like a lot stronger. It was a really interesting program. They looked through like a lot of different health in weird ways. I had to do fast for like a full 24 hours as a part of the program. For 30 days in a row, meditate for at least 5 minutes. There was definitely some other challenges in there too. Like I'd like holding a squat position for I think a minute, maybe 2 minutes, stuff like that, and doing weird challenges to like have you see health in a very interesting perspective. It was really interesting. And they make a lot of cool things you can use, like the balance beam to work on. They have some longer ones too, like a 6-foot beam, and you can like attachment so that it's not flat. It's like on a slant then, and like moving it different ways.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's all about challenging the feet and working them in more of a playful kind of training. So like similar to the way like a soccer player would just like grab a soccer ball and like play around with that and get good. It was really interesting.
So how did you get into that?
What originally when I was in high school, I did a co-op at the gym, Hybrid Fitness.
Yeah.
And when there, I'd met a guy named Mikey, who had been a part of this program, was talking about it, and told me about barefoot shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I started looking into this company, following them on Instagram at the Foot Collective, and really more. And then I learned about the Foot Nerd program, so I did that, and it was really interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Was that in London?
The program? Oh, there's an online program.
Oh.
Like you sign up for it, they give you access to all this information, they send you these books, they send you a beam, and you, at the time, I think I had 1 year to do it. I don't know if that's changed a little bit now. I haven't contacted them in a while. And like you slowly got better at doing that stuff. It's been really helpful in training people too, and helping with foot issues.
Wow. So they had like a full health and wellness kind of program, because you mentioned you did a 24-hour fast.
Yeah, 24-hour food fast. So like I would still consume water and salt though. I did.
Okay. How was that?
It was interesting. I remember like by the end of it, I feel like my sense of smell was like really high, which I suppose makes sense like evolutionarily, and that like, oh, if you've been going a long time without food, we need you to like, your body wants you to start smelling food and finding it. I felt very focused.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much time I used to spend just eating. I feel like I had so much free time in the day. I felt great actually. There was no issues at all.
Yeah, that's the big change for me, is how much time I have to spend eating now that we're trading harder. Yeah, before trading regularly with the trainer at the gym, I wouldn't eat that much, maybe, snacks here and there, but like breakfast, lunch, dinner, that's basically it. And the focus is definitely a thing, because when I used to study in school, not eating was the best way to focus and get stuff done. But unfortunately, that is too counterproductive now. I can't really afford to do that if I want to still maintain a high level of activity. It's like eating every couple of hours. So Yeah, I guess, you have trade-offs there.
Absolutely. That's something you need to like, if your job requires you to focus 8 hours every day, every week, you can't really use the fasting thing that well because it would require you to fast every day, and that tends to result in death pretty quickly. Yeah, but I think fasting is a great tool as long as you already have a good relationship with food.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, you have some people who struggle with like binge eating and eating disorders and all that sort of thing. Should probably not be doing fasting until maybe you can like fix that relationship with food.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think fasting is fine if I think it will be possible to go through like an 8-hour day and maybe eat once, or some people have like a meal a day. I mean, I don't know them personally, but I've heard some people have one meal a day and that works. But I guess, yeah, I wouldn't want to. It wouldn't be smart to try that for me now. But I think I might build up to that where it's like over many years try to have a stable level of activity, but still find a way to push yourself, but have a good schedule of eating, instead of eating all the time. Like for me right now, everything is so new. Like we started this new plan, and then the first 2 weeks I was just hungry all the time. Like I ate lunch, and then an hour later I'd be like, I thought I was full.
Yeah,
it's kind of stabilized now, so it's I guess that's to be expected.
I feel like that also kind of goes back towards what you were saying before about like what we were talking about before, the training for different goals thing is like, sure, you can eat less, but you're probably going to have to like lower the amount you're training and like what goals you want to achieve there for sure.
Yeah, because like I put on a few pounds because we're lifting heavier and whatnot, but I am getting a little bit of a tummy. It's not a huge problem now, but I think I have to watch it and see what happens. If it gets too big, then maybe it will be difficult because then you're trying to get stronger and lose fat, right?
Well, then hopefully by that time you build quite a bit of muscle too, and we can maybe work towards more of like a cutting phase. Sure, that is it. Like gaining a little bit of fat is very normal in a bulking phase for sure. Okay. It's very hard to like build only muscle, especially the more and more advanced you get, and now you've been training for like a few years pretty consistently. So it's difficult to just build muscle. And then in a cutting phase, it's difficult to just cut down on fat. Eating right, training properly, and recovering properly diminishes the amount of like fat you would gain and then muscle you would lose. But it's hard to make it like 0 and 100%.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, right? Like if you're gonna commit to exercise, training, lifting, you're gonna have ups and downs, and yeah, you'll put on weight, lose weight. I guess it keeps going on like that over the years. Okay. So when you did this Foot Collective program, you also mentioned you had to meditate every day for at least 5 minutes for a month.
Yeah.
So okay. If you remember, whatever you do remember, maybe walk me through how was it on the first day, in the middle of the month, and at the end of the month, doing those meditation sessions.
Yeah. Definitely very hard starting out. 5 minutes feels like forever. Yeah. You get annoyed. I remember like the first time I was doing, like I'd put like a timer on my phone, and like I kept checking the timer like 2 minutes in because I was like, I thought it's been like 6 minutes already. You feel really weird. Your mind is racing. It becomes a big issue. There's a lot of like techniques you can do. You focus on like a breathing pattern. I think mostly what I was doing was like a box breathing pattern, or like
What is that?
I believe it's been a while since I've done any meditation. Something like a breathe in for 4 seconds, hold your breath for like 2 seconds, and then breathe out for like 4 seconds. Okay. I would try different variations of breathing things as I was going. Sometimes there was no holding breath. Sometimes it was like holding and exhaled for a little bit. Focusing on that count while you're breathing, trying to like empty your mind. By the end, it was a lot better. I was noticing I was more focused and everything too. Meditation is good, and it gives you more control over your mind and your thoughts for sure. And there's an interesting way of looking at yourself and your mind, in that you aren't your mind necessarily. Like you don't come up with that. Meditation and control over that gives you definitely more control over what's going on in your mind for sure. and I was noticing it was a lot easier by the end, and I was actually really looking forward to meditating. One interesting thing that I noticed a lot though, on a day, say you have a lazy day, do nothing, you spend all day eating junk food, watching TV,
Yeah.
not a single productive thing. Those were the hardest days to do any meditation, because you were like, it almost forced you to confront that like complete uselessness that you've been delving into all day. Days where it was like doing lots of schoolwork, working out, working hard, and I'd been like doing all that. Finding that 5 minutes was like a relief to do. So I found that very interesting.
It's a powerful tool. I love hearing your experience with meditation, because I've tried my hand at it many times. It's still hard to find a good posture for me, because sitting cross-legged is not entirely comfortable. It's like okay for a few minutes, but then like your back is not great or something bothers you. Anyway, but that's besides the point. So the one thing that you mentioned was you really noticed that your mind is racing, and what I was thinking was that it's almost like if you do it for a while, you can see or feel your thoughts passing by, and it's kind of like you're watching a movie. It's just like it's happening, but there's a space between you and whatever's happening. So it's not like if you think of some kind of negative thought, like, oh, I can't believe I got that answer wrong on that test. It doesn't feel as like the impact is not there. It's like you see that thought come through, and then you just let it pass. You don't try to fight it. That's been my experience. I think that's been one of the big benefits for me. It's like you can criticize yourself, think negatively, but it doesn't make you feel bad. It's just like, yeah, that seems reasonable.
Absolutely, for sure. Like if you're a person who meditates regularly, bad things still happen to you, the same as everybody else, but you have more control over how much it affects you, which is definitely the biggest part for sure. And there's always that idea, people being like, oh, I don't have 5 minutes to meditate per day. Oh, then you need that more than anybody else. It's much more important than you do it. I do think I need to get back into doing more. I felt much more focused, less anxious stuff when I was doing that. I would like to start making that a habit again for sure.
Yeah, like I have busy days, and I too am trying to find a period in the day where I can quote unquote meditate. It's not basically just sit, close my eyes, and then just for like 5-10 minutes. That's it. Just that much during a busy day. Just 5-10 minutes of closing your eyes and just letting your thoughts, emotions pass by. That has a huge impact. It kind of refocuses you. So I think it's a good tool for a variety of things, but for me it's been best to detach from something that's overwhelming, or if it's a busy time, then kind of give your racing mind a break. So for example, at my job, I'm working a lot on the computer. I'm like flipping through documents, different websites, chats, emails. I mean, I like switching and doing a bunch of stuff, but after an hour or two, it's like you're kind of in that momentum. Just like if you're going for a long run, after a while you get into rhythm. You can just keep running forever. But if you're at such a high pace, it's hard to scale it back. I think that's what I struggle with the most. I love the start of the day because it goes from like relaxed and it just keeps going up, but like coming down is the hard part for me. So I think meditation would be a good tool for that for sure.
Many people find it very difficult for that 5 minutes, but like how many times throughout the day are you checking your phone for like 10, 20 plus minutes? And that's probably just making you more anxious than anything. Remember it was because part of the challenge thing was do like 30 days in a row, not missing a day. So many times like by the end of the day, I'd be like almost like getting ready for bed, and then like, oh, I forgot to do that. So I'd be doing it like right before I went to sleep almost, and like it'd be interesting. You sleep so much better after.
Oh really? You noticed that? Okay.
I felt that a lot actually.
So yeah, I guess I don't do it before sleeping. I think I don't think I've tried that. I try in the morning. Morning is hard because I wake up and I'm sore. or like not sore but stiff or whatever. So usually I start by stretching, and then I try to meditate for a couple minutes. But still, it's not great. But I guess I'll work on that. So yeah. Anyway, you were saying at night it helped you sleep better. I guess back to my original question. Maybe you answered it already. So day one, you would have noticed your racing mind. It's hard to focus. The time went by very slowly, and then at the end of the month, you mentioned you were looking forward to it, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, let's finish what you said.
I guess yeah. Go ahead. No, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. No, but, like you do know, like, in that doing it every day,
Yeah.
it changes how it was. Like, you got better at it for sure. It became so much easier to like clear your mind and focus on nothing except the breathing. Mm-hmm. And then even then, by the end, you were like just the rest of the day more in control of what you were thinking about. What thoughts come into your head. If a thought would come into your head and it wasn't like and helping you at all, enjoying it, you can move it away.
Yeah. 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 I think that comes. I think meditation is a tool that can help with that. It came with experience for me. Like when I was in high school or a lot younger, if I had a negative thought, it would be hard to let go of it. But these days, it's a lot easier. You can kind of switch it up, so that's good.
It could probably be a useful tool to like have lots of young people learning to do it, especially with how big of an issue mental health is right now.
Right.
Obviously, like medication, therapy is its very own important part, but developing more control over like your own mind can't cause any issues. It's gonna be a helpful tool, I think, for most people.
I think so. Like it's as simple as, close your eyes for a bit. I've heard this said before. I don't know exactly who to credit it to. Well, I think I've heard a couple of people say something similar. Basically, someone said if you have if you close your eyes and you find it hard to meditate or relax. Oh man, I wish I could remember the expression. It was something like if you struggle with your own thoughts, when you're trying to meditate, think about the company you're keeping. Like, if your thoughts are bothering you or something. I don't know.
Interesting. So like, if you struggle to be like alone with your own thoughts for a little bit,
yeah,
maybe like look at like who you're normally around. Is that interesting? Or like,
no, it's like yourself. Like if you can't handle your own thoughts and emotions, then it's like you're your own company, right? You're keeping company with yourself. So if you're gonna live with your thoughts and emotions as another, this is getting too abstract.
Oh no, I love that. That's an interesting perspective, and for sure, we're like, if you struggle to be alone with yourself and be your own company, you may need to like wonder why that is. Is there something you need to work on about yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Because like it's easier to if you're comfortably alone by yourself, then generally it means you have a good grasp of your thoughts, emotions, whatever's going on in your life. But if you're alone and it's like you're just too stressed out, that's a big indication that something's not right.